Yesterday, Marvel and Charles Soule teased a new Boba Fett-centric comic, and today StarWars.com has revealed the full details along with some of the interior art by Steve McNiven. War of the Bounty Hunters is a new crossover comic event that will run from May through October. It'll specifically start on May 5th and then continue on in all of the ongoing Star Wars series, including the main Star Wars run, Bounty Hunters, of course, Darth Vader, and Dr. Aphra. On top of that, there will be a 5-issue War of the Bounty Hunters miniseries, so this is going to be a big deal for Star Wars comic fans. It takes place in between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and tells us all about what happened to Boba Fett on the way to Jabba's palace, which is a story Soule specifically wanted to tell. He calls it a crime epic that involves the Hutts, Black Sun, Vader, and a bunch of others. I think it's safe to say Fett will be going up against the likes of Dengar, Bosk, IG-88, Zuckuss, 4-LOM, and hopefully others. Soule says that Boba will lose possession of Han at the start of the story, and he'll do everything he can to get him back. Of course, a lot of credits are on the line, but the Fetts are also all about reputation, which Boba is probably more worried about. This is described as a true collaboration between Soule, who's been writing the main Star Wars run, and all the other series writers, including Greg Pak, who's been writing Darth Vader, Alyssa Wong, who writes Dr. Aphra, and Ethan Sachs, who handles Bounty Hunters. In fact, we might have seen some hints for what's to come in the Bounty Hunters comic, which featured Fett for a handful of issues. He went on a detour to seek revenge against someone who damaged his reputation years ago, and during that mission he shot a woman in the back. She survived, and I could see her seeking some revenge for herself. Thematically, I could see this being a story of the pointless cycles of revenge or something like that. Fett has been treated as a full-on villain in the comics so far, but we see that something has changed him in The Mandalorian. That's years down the line, but with the book of Boba Fett arriving in about 10 months and starting only 2 months after War of the Bounty Hunters ends, I think we could potentially see the start of his transformation in these comic issues. Soule claims that this story will, quote, have an impact. That's very vague, but I think he means it'll tie into other Star Wars properties. He also says that it builds into something much bigger. He could mean the Book of Boba Fett or The Mandalorian, or I'm curious if we'll see another comic series for Boba. I'd like to know what he was up to in between Return of the Jedi and The Mandalorian. They might get into that in the Book of Boba Fett, but if not, I think we absolutely need that story told somewhere. I'm psyched for this. I'll never not be excited for more Star Wars written by Charles Soule, and it's also been a long time since we've had a comic crossover event like this. I also dig all the inspiration this story seems to have taken from Shadows of the Empire. That story holds a special place in my heart because it was basically my introduction into the expanded universe. It was my first Star Wars novel and comic book, and the Shadows of the Empire comic dealt with some very similar events. Fett trying to protect his bounty from all of his rivals who wanted to steal the score from him. The mention of Black Sun appearing in War of the Bounty Hunters only makes me more intrigued. Maybe we'll get the return of Prince Xizor, who knows? We'll have to wait until May to find out, but I think this is great. It's got a lot of potential. Let me know what you think of War of the Bounty Hunters in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with all our Star Wars coverage, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.